asked by a couple people how I do my budgeting and stuff like that. A lot of people have issues with budgeting. I took 2 years, well, 3 years of accounting actually. I took one in high school, and majority of that was just balancing an account ledger and learning how to type really quickly with one hand for the number pad and stuff like that. And then I took 2 years in college at Bryant and Stratton, and I was going to go for an associate's, but right before I got my associate's, I switched over to a Bachelor of Business, and I did maybe like another class of like math or something, and then they switched me over to all like business and marketing and stuff, but we still had to do ledgers and all of that, but it was really, really basic. And even in business class, a lot of the people didn't seem to understand how things balanced out. So since I was asked again recently, I don't know how to do a budget. Maybe you could show me, etc., etc. So what I do is I'm actually going to show you through MS Paint. I'm going to set it up like my notebook. I have a mommy binder, and in my mommy binder, I have loose leaf paper in the front that I can just rip out if I need it. And on one tab, I have all of our bills written here, and each bill has its own paper. And each bill, I have it set up. Sorry. I have it set up that I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to make it smaller print here. I'm going to make it like on this side really quick. So if I have one paper that says like rent, and underneath the rent, I'm going to have, if it has an online login, the login information. I'm going to have the phone number to call. I'm going to have the account number. And I'm going to have the average cost and due date. Okay, and I do that for every single page, for each bill, for the electric, for the water, for the sewage, for the cable bill, you name it. That's how I have each page set up at the very top. I've got the account number, I've got the login online, everything is there on that piece of paper. If I can't figure out, if I have issues or somebody else's, or like Michael, if Michael has to log in and pay the bill, which he doesn't, I'm the one that handles the bills, he would need the web address to go to. So sometimes I'll put the web link, write it down on that piece of paper. And underneath that, that's just the top header. Underneath that, I put the due date on the corner against the line. The line's right here on the piece of paper. I'll put the due date. Well, actually, for you, it's backwards. I'll put the due date, and then I'll put the amount. And then when I get paid, or he gets paid, I write paid when it's paid off. I literally write paid. And then I put the confirmation number. And I make sure that they send that payment to my email, so that you have that. Because if there's a dispute after that, if the payment just didn't go through or whatever, you can go, okay, well, you gave me this confirmation number, you let me know what happened there and why it didn't go through, and then you fix the payment like that. And it also helps me just keep track of what has been paid and what hasn't been paid. Now, on my fridge, I keep two pieces of paper. I put the budget and I put the bill list, so that I have a reminder if I don't have my mommy binder on me. Hey, we get paid next week. What bills usually come out roughly around this time of the month? So on the fridge, I put literally bills, written at the top, and I list the bills. I'll put like who the cable is, electric, rent, the car payment, if we have a car payment, our cell phones, etc. And across from that, I put when it's usually due during the month, and average cost. So when it's due during the month, average cost. And then I can go, okay, well, it is the first of the month. I can literally look at here. Rent is due on the first of the month. Netflix came out on the 30th of last month. I need to make sure it came out correctly. Usually the sewage payment for the other part of the water payment comes out on the roughly about the 26th or so. The water payment came out about the 26th, and electric came out on the 31st. So I need to make sure all those were paid. And what's going to come up next? Well, I've got Gavin's tuition for his classes, and I've got car payment and the phones. Well, let's see if we're going to make those payments or if we're going to have next week a paycheck and that's going to pay it. Which is where this comes in handy. Our budget. So the second form on here, I'm going to highlight these. I'm going to outline these so that you have them separate. Like that. The other form I put on the fridge. Stretch out. Fridge form. Is the budget. And literally, I sit down at the beginning of the month and I go, okay, I get paid on these days and these days, and Michael gets paid on these days and these days. So on the side of the paper, let me get a blank piece of paper. On the side of the paper that has the red line, I will write me and the date, and then when I get paid, I put how much I get paid, and the source of the payment written right here. So, say there is, let me do a line, like the red line on the piece of paper, like this. And then you have the regular lines on a regular piece of paper. I'm going to pull this back up. I do my name and the date. And on the other side, I put the amount that I got paid and source. And then on the other side of the piece of paper, I actually come up here and tab over. I literally write the word bills, and it's making it red because everything else is red. And say I got, let's see, this month, this morning actually, I got paid. So I'm going to say, I'm not going to tell you how much I got paid, but I'm going to say the bills that we had to pay. I had a $50 bill, and I write to who and the due date. And then I had a $40 bill, I'm rounding up, to who and the due date. And then I had a $20 bill, so that we keep track of when it was due and if we paid it early or something. So I paid 2 bills early. I paid the sewage and the water bill, which is due at the end of the month. So we don't have to worry about that at the end of the month, because we got the bill at the beginning of the month. Our electric bill doesn't come out until like the 7th or something like that. So I can't budget that in yet. But I look at back at last month's budget and I go, okay, well, we split the electric bill payment into two different payments. So we can do that again this month. So I'll split it between two different payments. That's exactly what we do with rent too, so we don't have to pull out all of rent in one paycheck. We split the rent payment. So say Michael gets paid, name and date, and then how much, his paycheck. I put PC, paycheck. And then his bills are going to be like the phone bill. So we write the phone bill. And when it's due, that's on the 12th. And then I pull half of rent. So half of rent. And that's due on the 1st. Or 2/1. And then half of electric is probably going to come out of his paycheck. Half of electric, and that's usually due at the end of the month, like the 26th or something. 1/26, sorry. So that's my budget on my fridge and my bills listed on my fridge. So I have that right there. Just in case I need to update my notebook or I need to update the budget, I have all of that information right there. And I have this in my notebook, in my binder, so that if I need to log in and just double check it, hey, did we pay that? Okay, I think we paid it, whatever. This is to make sure that it's paid and how to log in and pay it. That's to figure out when it's due and what is usually due. If it's like this, like electric, usually electric fluctuates, and that's literally what I write. Like I wrote our electric due on the 31st of the month, usually at the end of the month, and I literally wrote fluctuates. Since we've only been in the house and we've only paid like 2 electric bills so far, I don't have an average yet. So I'm going to wait for another month or two, and on average, we probably pay like $140. But we'll see. Alright, so we have all that. Now I'm going to show you how I really budget. This is what I do. So when you have all of this and you know exactly what's coming out of the next paycheck, honestly, even if you didn't know what your paycheck is gonna be, you can look ahead of time and go, okay, I get paid on my next payment's like the 18th. The 18th. I don't know how much I'm going to get paid, so I don't write that. I know the source. And I also know what bills I can pay between my next payment and his next payment. I know the bills that I can pay in between because I have it written here on the fridge when they're due, and I also have it written in my notebook when they're due and how to log in and check that to make sure that all my bills are posted at the beginning of the month or in the middle of the month when they're due. So on average, I can go, okay, so my next paycheck after this, in the middle of the month, I owe Gavin's tuition, and that's not due until the 1st. And then I owe a car payment, which is my last car payment actually. My car is being paid off. And insurance. And that has no due date. I just pretty much pay it at the end of the month. And then I have Netflix. And that's usually due at the end of the month, so 1/30. I can go, okay, well, I can pay those, and I know I'm paying them off early, but I know I can pay them. And then we've got Michael's next paycheck after that. Name and date. Don't know how much, but we know the source. And all I've got written for that last paycheck of the month is half of rent. Oops. And half electric. And that's how we divide up our bills. Now at the very bottom of that ledger, of that piece of paper, usually this is cleared off. Let me clear that off. Hold on. Let's solid fill black. Clear that off. Wait. At the bottom of this piece of paper, I try to figure out our total income by adding it up straight down the line. And, oops, stop it. There we go. And our total bills for that month. So that I know on average, with all my months of saving all my pieces of individual paper that I put on the fridge, I know our total income per month on average and our total bills per month on average. And I can go, okay, well, we usually have this much left over. We can save this much, or we can save half of it, or whatever. So, you can figure out how much saved added to the bottom. This month, we're probably going to have quite a bit saved because I already have savings, and I haven't had savings in a while. So it doesn't take long to really figure out your budget. When I write down the confirmation, I don't put it on our budget paper, and I don't put it on the fridge. I put that, and I make sure that is in my notebook. And it is very, very easy to figure out. Now, I am going to no fill. I'm going to do an outline right here. Whoopsie. Let's move you over. Okay. Get my, hold on. Figuring it out. Now, your bank account. When you go to balance a checkbook, people don't use checkbooks anymore. I used to balance a checkbook when I was a teenager and I had my first bank account. And everybody knows, you know, you write in the date, you write in what you paid. Oh, sorry, you're backwards on my computer. You write in the date, you write in what you paid or who you paid to, you write in the amount, and you add or subtract as you go all the way down the side of the ledger. It's pretty much the same thing. Every time we get a payment or a paycheck or whatever income that we have, I write in which bank account it is, because we have two different banks. So bank 1 or bank 2. I'm going to move this over. Bank 2 or savings. Okay, so bank 1, I'm going to make up an imaginary number. Say we got $700 income. And we had already $100 left over in there from the last time. So we have $800 in the bank account. Oops, that's 1,000. And we have, say, I'm going to roughly say $110 in bills. We subtract that. And I do this all on just a piece of paper. I just write it all out. Every time we get paid, I just write it out and figure out what we have in our bank account. And then a couple of days later, when I make sure that all the bills go through and we have confirmation emails, then we're like, okay, all our bills are paid. I have proof that all our bills are paid. this is how much we have left over in the account, or should have left over as far as I wrote down. And then I go on the bank account itself and I double check. I make sure my numbers come out correctly. So that would leave us with, sorry, 800. We're going to make this even. My brain does not do math when I have not had coffee this morning yet. So we have 700 left over. Now say I need to go grocery shopping, or it's not a bill, but I need an oil change in my car. I know that's going to cost like $40. Or I need to go grocery shopping. I need to roughly budget maybe like $300. So I go, okay, I need roughly $300 for food. So I'm going to subtract that, even though that's not a current bill and that's not what I paid for food yet. That's what I'm budgeting because that's what I have left over in my account. So I roughly will have 400 left over after I go grocery shopping, potentially. And then you can go, okay, well, I'll need gas during the week or whatever until he gets paid again, blah, 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 blah. I can set aside maybe like $50 in savings and go ahead and transfer that over to the savings account. Now, in Bank 2, you could be like, okay, well, we haven't used that since his last paycheck because that's the joint account. I'm roughly guesstimating my account, and then we're going to roughly guesstimate the joint account. We haven't used that since the last time. That's probably not much left in it right now. We're going to roughly say 200. I honestly don't know what's in it right now. I think I checked this morning, but I forgot. We have no bills coming out of that account. I don't need to pull any money. He didn't get paid yet, so I don't have to worry about that. So we have 200 left over. And we don't need to do anything with it, but if I wanted to throw, say, another 50 in savings, then I have 100 in savings that month because I have 50 from one account and 50 from the other account. Now, like I said, when you go, like, I would give it like at least 2 or 3 days for your bills to go through and be paid and processed. Usually it takes a day or two for them to go, okay, yeah, it went through. Or you can check online and go, okay, I paid this 2 days ago. I need to make sure the balance is 0. So do that. Make sure your balance is 0 before you start spending money in your account. So say I had that money. I'm trying to talk with no coffee. I have all that money left over. I've got extra savings. I've got spending cash and stuff like that. You have to always remember that you have to have gas money for your vehicle, emergency funds, usually for your vehicle, or if there's like a health issue or something like that. Double check bills are paid. 3 days later before spending anything. So yeah, that's what we do. And that's not my income or his income. And then at the end of the month, on the 30th or 31st, or if it's February, you go back here and you go, okay, so our total income for this whole month was, I'm going to make up a number, $5,000. And our total bills was only, I don't even know if I can, there we go. Our total bills was only, I don't know, like half that. And we saved, say, overall maybe $200. Well, we have 200 in savings in case we need it. That's great. And we have probably money left over in our bank accounts so that if we have maybe like a surprise debt that we forgot about or an emergency situation or something like that, we have that money in our bank account that we budgeted to be in the bank account. because we've paid our bills. We're good. If you need any clarification on any of those, I mean, definitely just message me, leave a comment below or something like that. So I'm going to recap just briefly. I wish I had a cursor instead of one of these little hand thingies. That's not the best cursor. um, so rent, login information, the phone number to the account or the place, the account number, your average costs, or what they tell you what it's going to cost per month or if it fluctuates, the due date that it's going to be, the web link in case it's not just you that has to log into it or you forget where to go to pay it. Put that in put it in a notebook somewhere. You could use just a regular spiral notebook or whatever. I'm gonna put, I don't think I can show you any of my stuff. And with the login, I put the actual like login name, the name and the password on here so that you have it. But I guess I can show you this one. This one doesn't matter. I have an auto login, so give me a second. I don't even know if you're going to be able to see it. But like, that's the tuition for Gavin's classes, which gets paid off the 1st of March. I have a balance of $122.50. Also, if you have a balance left over, I write the balance right underneath my last payment. So I'd be like, balance due, blah. I have a balance because it just adds all of the tuitions together. And then it's like, oh, you can just pay per month. And that's what I do. I pay per month. But if you want to pay it all off at the same time, that's what it could be. I write down, see right here in the red, I write down the date that it's due, how much it is. I literally write paid, the day I pay it, the confirmation number, the balance left over right there, the last payment that is due, and that's in 2 months. And again, I went this month on the 1st, how much it was due, when it was paid, the date, the receipt number, total balance due, and up at the top I write who it's for, and the login information is in the corner, but mine auto logs in, so I don't really need to memorize it, thankfully. But that I would put in a notebook. That way you have all that information together and you go, okay, I know how to log in and pay these. That's just so that you can pay them. This goes on the fridge to list all of your bills per month, when they are due, and the average amount, and if it fluctuates. I'm going backwards for you. The bills when they're due and the average amount and if they fluctuate. That way you can roughly guesstimate. I get paid on the 18th, and these bills come out. Look, I have Comcast on the 16th usually. That's my cable bill. And I try to make my car payment by the 15th. So, say if I get paid on the 18th, I need to make sure those 2 bills are paid before I get paid. So that's going to be in the previous bills list and not here. It's going to be up here. So put that on the fridge. That will help. And also what I put on the fridge is the budget itself, the name and date of who is getting paid, and I put it in order. So say I got paid on the 1st or something, and you get paid the next week, and I get paid the next week, and whatever. How much you get when you get paid. Don't guess what you're going to get paid or whatever. You wait for yourself to get paid. The source of the payment, because some incomes can be random, like say a holiday where you made like $200 in a holiday card from someone. You can write that down, you can put that in the bank and be like, hey, that's an extra $200 I can use. I could put that towards bills or whatever I need to do, but you should count that as a source of income. This also helps when you do taxes at the beginning of the next year and you're going, okay, so I have all my budgeting here. This was my total income per month. I know how much I made and all of that stuff. So you can double check. What are they, W-2s or W-4s? I don't remember. I haven't worked in like forever. But you can double check the paperwork that your work sends you to file taxes, and you can go, okay, this is correct, and make sure that you have everything you need when you file your taxes. You list the bills that are due, when they're due. If they're paid off early, that's cool. It doesn't matter. If you can budget it in, put it in there. If you're going, okay, well, I have, say over here, oops, say over here, he got paid, or I got paid, say right here, what if I got paid, like I said, $700? And I paid all of this, plus I got groceries, which is not budgeted, because groceries is a fluctuating cost. If I have money left over, I'm not going to spend extra money that I don't need to be spending. I'm just going to pay for gas in my car, probably get an oil change, which I need to do, and pick up food maybe once or twice within the next week. I try to cook at home though. If I know that when he gets paid by next Friday, and say he pulled in maybe 2,000, we'll roughly say 2,000. That's a random number. He doesn't get 2,000. His income fluctuates a little bit. And those bills came out, and say he had like 800 left over for whatever reason, because that's not even right. But whatever. I'm making up numbers. So to get 800 left over, and after I had that, I had 400 left over, and I put 50 in savings. Well, we can put money in savings, like I said, which this would be updated. You would add in the, plus the 200 that was left in it, or actually the 150, because we moved money to savings. You paid your bills, and you have 800 left over. So say in my account, I still, I randomly had cash for gas or whatever. I have 100 in savings. I have 400 left over in my account, 800 left over in his account. And I go, okay, well, we don't want to be shorthanded for maybe, say, my next payment here. Maybe I'm not expecting so much. Maybe I'm only expecting maybe like $300 or something. And I have all these payments to make. I can go, okay, well, we can pull maybe 200 from this account and put it in bank one to go towards whatever bills are for the next pay period. And that can give me a slight cushion going, okay, well, it's not that much to pay tuition and car payment and Netflix, but I'd like to have a little bit extra left over and not have to pull from savings so that I can have gas for the next week. I can pick up food randomly if, the kids are just, or if I just don't want to cook and the kids are just like, hey, let's go wherever. I'll have that extra 30, 40 bucks. So that's how I do my budgeting and everything, and I pay my bills. I don't know how other people do it. I know a lot of people, they just, as they get it in, they go, oh, I don't have this in the bank account. When do we get paid next? It's going to have to be paid late, blah, blah, blah. I know some people that use spreadsheets, and they kind of do this as well. But I like having it written down and where I can literally move it from the fridge off a magnet and bring it in here and have all my paperwork in front of me on my table here and my binder, and I can have it on my phone. I can log in and go, okay, that's okay. I can double check everything. I can screenshot my bank accounts. I can send them to Michael. I can go, this is paid, this is paid, this is paid, and this is what's left over right now. And he can go, okay, well, I only want this left in my bank account. He does this though. He say he has 800 left in his bank account after his next paycheck. And I regardless still have my 350 left in my account. He will still go, okay, I only want 200 left in my account to spend for the next week if I need anything, if I need to pick up a tool for work or whatever. He doesn't really spend money if he needs food for lunch during work because he drives around, and he usually just has to pick up something. He'll just be like, leave me $200, $300 in the account. That's all I need. I'm going to pull the rest of the 500 and put it in my bank account as extra cushioning for the next set of bills or for any emergency situation, or say the kids are like going through the phase of eating everything in the house. I need to go grocery shopping again and spend another $200. I have that money, so that's what we're going to do. And then he gets left over the $300 that he asked for, which is on average what he does. He only wants about $300 left over in his bank account after his paychecks. He just wants to make sure all the bills are paid and we just have that extra. So hopefully this helped somebody, anybody. But this is a lot more simple. Actually, it looks very complicated, but it is a lot more simple and put together than the accounting classes that I took, because I would have to do ledgers that were incredibly complicated, and that I would have to take all these individual account ledgers and put them all together into like the big one, like the fridge budget, and balance the accounts, and sometimes it just wouldn't work out. And oh, let me tell you, intermediate accounting had me in tears by midterms. And I literally cried over it for like almost an hour. I remember that midterm. I had like 40 pieces of paper printed out in front of me, and I had to balance everything. And I sent an email to the teacher. I said, I'm in tears. I can't even see what I'm writing. I'm messing up everything. I'm tired of erasing it. I'm stressed out. I'm going to have to drop the class. And she was like, I've got something better for you. We're just going to transfer you to a bachelor degree if you're interested, and switch you to business. And I was like, yeah, I could do that. So I made it to intermediate accounting. Accounting is not fun to learn, let me tell you. Learning to budget your bills is not fun to learn. But I'm going to show you this black color. Why is it not coloring it in? There it goes. I'm going to cover this up. Hopefully you wrote it down. When it comes to like balancing a checkbook, if you still have a checkbook, my mom still balances her checkbook. She still shops with writing checks out and stuff. Or she'll pay with her debit card and she'll write down the amount while she's still there at the cash register, and who it's to, and what it's for, groceries or whatever. Let me show you how that's done for anybody that's never balanced a checkbook and you have checks and you just don't understand. It's pretty much the same thing. I count it if I wrote a check to something, which I try not to do. I try to pay everything online. That way I have copies of everything in my emails. I would put it under bills right here. And I would count it as a bill so that by the end of the month, I have that written in there and budgeted. And I can go, okay, well, I wrote a $20 check for something. I'm going to make sure that that was taken out of the account and written in and everything. But for usually it's the date, to who or what for, the amount, and your balance in your account. So what you would start off with is, say today's date is the 4th. You're going to write balance. You're going to carry your balance forward. Write nothing there because you didn't spend anything. Say you had like $700. And then you went grocery shopping or something and you paid like or $300 is on average to Food Lion. I don't know why I capitalized the L, not the F. And you spent $300 roughly. You're going to subtract the 300, and then underneath they should have like a smaller kind of line for you to be able to write the total left over. And then you just keep doing that down your checkbook. Now when I don't know if you get bank statements in the mail. I've stopped doing that. I go paperless. But you can log into your bank account and it will tell you all of your transactions that you've already done. And literally you go backwards through your ledger in your checkbook. And you go, okay, well the last thing I spent was I don't know who pays for gas with a check, but say like $30, you know, and whatever. So say you're going through your bank account and it says on this date you paid for gas at this place, it was $30, and your balance left over was, you know, whatever. Then you go, okay, well that was my balance that I had left over. And then you go to the next one, the groceries. Well, it's showing that I paid 300 in groceries. That's correct. You know, and this was left over. Yes, I had $400 left over as far as my calculations. But that's, you know, strictly if you balance through the checkbook. That's how she does it. And she will sit down at least like once or twice a month and go through it that way. My way, I do it this way. So it's a little different. But hopefully I help somebody out. Like I said, if you have any other questions or if you want me to help you draft a budget or something like that, feel free to message me. Don't leave that information in the comments. But yeah, leave a comment. If there's anything else as far as accounting wise, you know, helping you with your income and your bills and stuff like that, that I can show you to do, leave a message or a comment. If I helped you, leave a comment. I appreciate you viewing today's video. Remember to smash that like button, show support, hashtag create not hate. You guys are awesome, and I will catch you on another day. Bye bye.